our agents come across a man who has escaped death. Turns out that this man's luck continues to defy logic and science.
But the law of averages suggests that luck always runs out.
This is not happening.
That sounded spookier than maybe I intended it, but I think it worked pretty well.
I think it's doing the job it's intended to do. So congrats.
Ooh.
Yeah. So hey, you want to talk about X-Files?
I think we should talk about some X-Files.
I think so. I don't think we should change the format for the show. I think that we should just continue. I don't think we want to do a bait and switch of our own to the listeners.
No.
Be like, hey,
That's
let's
coming
talk about
next season.
picket fences. You know, what a great show that was.
Oh, my mom used to watch that all the time.
Oh, yeah? Tom Skerritt, though. He's a dish.
I love Tom Skerritt. He is a dish.
Did you ever watch?
He's in.
Did you ever watch shows called White Collar or Sex in the City?
White Collar. Is that the convict one? Or
yeah, he's a con artist who's got a heart of gold, and he's enlisted by somebody, some law enforcement agency to turn the tables on the bad guys.
I have seen several of those episodes. I never went through it, but yes, I have.
Yeah. And Sex in the City. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, plenty. My wife watches it semi-frequently, so I have seen plenty of those as well.
Okay. Well, do you know what they have in common with the X-Files?
Yes. This actor. The actor.
Whose name is?
I don't know his name. I apologize to the actor who is now deceased. I know that.
This was your episode, Andrew. You did the research on this. So just spill it.
Hey, it is your episode, mate. I'll let you know that when I was watching, I was always like, man, this guy was in season 3 and White Collar and Sex in the City.
Yes. This is Willie Garson, who plays Henry Weems in this episode. And you're right. He is an exception to the rule of recasting. They generally didn't recast bigger characters or bigger character actors in separate episodes. I mean, there are a few examples where they deviated from that.
You got 2 back to back here.
I mean, Larry Musser obviously is an example,
yeah.
But I don't know if Larry was ever as big a character as Willie Garson is in this one.
Well, I would say that Willie Garson got more work in Hollywood. That would be my take on that. I've seen him in a lot of series like we've talked about and movies. Mm-hmm. Larry was more supporting role. And I think maybe his biggest was The Edge with Anthony Hopkins. He was the helicopter 100%. Pilot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, both great actors. But you're right. They brought back bigger names very seldomly, bigger character actors that you've seen somewhere, but you can't place them. Well, and that's where I think Willie fits in. You
have seen Willie in the Goldberg Variation, the episode we're going to talk about tonight, episode 6 of season 7. This one was written by Jeffrey Bell. And you may remember Jeffrey Bell having written some winners like The Rain King and some losers like Alpha. So,
oh no,
yeah. What are your odds that this is going to be a good one based on that record?
Well, it's 50-50.
It is.
I will say it again, and I think I said it in Alpha. I don't hate the episode. I think it suffers greatly from a few plot contrivances that really just chat my ass. But
well, I hated the episode.
I did enjoy The Rain King quite a bit. So. Yeah.
And it was directed by Thomas J. Wright, who did a lot of Millennium, as well as the X-Files episode, Millennium. So that was just recently, just 2 episodes ago in season 7. So they clearly are keeping Millennium people around to do the rounds of X-Files.
I think Chris Carter felt a need and a necessity to, make sure those people had work. Yeah. And rightfully so. I think it's a really good business model when you can.
Well, they're capable directors. I mean, there's nothing about this episode that is bad in terms of how it's shot. In some cases, that's really well shot, in fact. Yeah. The interesting thing about this episode's funny one. Frank Spotnitz has gone on record saying that as many people who like the funny ones hate the funny ones. So they had actually scheduled this to be a little earlier in the season, and then they changed it up so it'd be later. They wanted a few more scary ones before dipping into comedy. What do you think is very funny? I mean, it's obviously got a lot of funny stuff. I think it's
humorous.
Yeah.
I like to say lighthearted when it's not a comedy. And this, I don't think this is a comedy. I do think this is very family friendly and therefore is a little bit more humorous.
Yes, the death in this episode is treated very,
right. Exactly.
There's still
tongue in cheek. It's suitable for all ages. That death. So
it's a G-rated X-File.
It's pretty much a cartoon. So that being said, I do agree. There are people who get really turned off by the X-Files being funny. My friend being one of them. He actually stopped watching in the middle of season 6. He's like, it just doesn't feel like the same show. So
once they've sorted out the syndicate conspiracy, the show really does have an identity crisis. So
a little bit. Yeah. And I don't fault him for that. He likes what he likes. I think anyone who wants the show to stick to its roots, I can completely understand. I mean, the show was very serious when it first started. So, I mean, it might be hard to wrap your head around them having a good time. So I get it.
Well, let's see how they do in this episode. Are you ready to implement the Goldberg Variation?
I am ready.
Okay. Mike, we open in Chicago, Illinois, 10:24 p.m., outside a large ornate building. A cut inside brings us to a high-stakes poker game. Seated around the table are several tough old guys, led by mobster Joe Cutrona. Cutrona has a great hand, 4 kings, eventually. This isn't Texas Hold'em, oh no. It's old school 5-card draw. Players go around trading in cards, showing how tough they are, until the camera arrives at an unlikely player, Henry Weems, the most inoffensive man to grace a poker table. Examining his pretty good hand of 3 tens, he decides to exchange his entire hand to the surprise of the dealer. This is clearly Cutrona's table. Despite explaining that there's a 4-card limit, Cutrona allows Henry to trade in all his cards. Cutrona raises the bet by $4,000, which pushes the other players out, except Henry, who matches the bet and raises it $4,000 more. Cutrona raises $15,000, but Henry cautions him, you shouldn't do that. This is all he needs, referring to the amount on the table. It's not enough to push Henry off the table, though, who matches the bet and then innocently asks, now we show each other our cards, to the incredulity of everyone at the table. Cutrona shows 4 kings, but Henry shows a straight flush of clubs. Proclaiming beginner's luck to the stunned silence of the other players, Henry begins to pack up his winnings, and a stern Cutrona announces that they expect a chance to win their money back. But Henry just keeps on packing up, saying he has what he needs and asks where he can cash out. With a meaningful glance, Cutrona has his guys escort Henry out and into an elevator, which is heading for the 29th floor. Henry notes they're not going down, they're going up. The goons, stone-faced, drag Henry across the roof to the edge, throwing him off. Henry's body tumbles to the ground where he plunges into an open hatch in the sidewalk. The camera lingers for a moment until Henry slowly emerges, crawling unharmed from the subterranean space, walking off into the night. Credits.
Wow. That's a fun opening. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy you think is not going to survive the episode.
Right. And you're like, okay, where's this going? And then he crawls out of the hole and you're like, huh. It's very simple, very, the opening is very not X-Files until that point, which is kind of cool.
It does begin a theme very quickly and holds on to it. Like him saying beginner's luck is kind of everything you need to know about this episode. It's going to be about luck. All right, so we're back in Chicago as a cab delivers Scully to the same sidewalk, this time in the morning. She walks around looking for and not finding Mulder. She calls him, asking him where he is, when the hatch behind her opens, delivering Mulder on an elevator.
What's down there?
Well, before you check out down there, check out up there. Top 2 floors are leased to one Jimmy Catrona, whose name you might be familiar with.
Organized crime. The Bureau's been trying to build a racketeering case against him for the past few years. Gambling, extortion, murder.
Which is why last night there were 2 agents parked across the street in surveillance. They witnessed a man being thrown from Catrona's roof at 10:40 p.m. This man fell 30 floors, plus the distance down the shaft, because these doors just happen to be open straight through, nothing but net.
Ouch.
I'm guessing that's what he said. After he got up, climbed out of here, scampered off into the night.
Mulder, you keep saying this man. Who is this man?
No idea. He got away. The agents gave chase, but no clear description.
Was his basement thoroughly searched?
No. Technically, falling 300 feet and surviving isn't a crime.
And your theory is?
What if this man had some kind of special capability, some kind of genetic predisposition towards rapid healing or tissue regeneration?
So basically, what if we were looking for Wile E. Coyote?
Keep in mind, they are in the basement of the Grayson Linen Service. That may become relevant later.
Oh.
So now we got the basics.
So I have a...
Oh, yeah. Please. Interject.
I was just going to ask, I don't remember, and forgive me, audience, but do they go over how Henry came to associate with the mob?
No, they do not.
Okay. I wanted to know if I was crazy or not. So his existence
he just
at that table
to
is...
find the poker game, but we don't know.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Just asking.
You do like this show, though, right? You've watched the episode from time to time?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Good.
Said many times.
All right. We got the basics of the plot now. Mulder wants to know how a man survived a 30-floor drop unscathed. Scully does her usual Scully thing, providing some rational scientific explanations, which basically come down to the guy got lucky. She does find that the wheels of a nearby cart have been destroyed, perhaps the result of a body crashing into it from a great height, and providing enough give to save his life. Searching the cart, Mulder finds a prosthetic eye. So he's got a clue, Mike. Later on, the agents visit an apartment building, specifically where Henry Weems lives and works as the building superintendent. Scully is skeptical, suggesting that there must be at least 600 people in Chicago with prosthetic eyes. And I got to wonder where she got that stat from. But
it's just a random statistic.
Totally made
at least 600.
At least 750.
There's got to be at least 932. It is a weird number.
But Wiley E. Mulder counters that Henry Weems made an appointment this morning for a replacement. When an elderly lady comes out, our agents tailgate into the building, heading for Henry's apartment. On their way, they're accosted by a woman saying it's an emergency. The emergency turns out to be a leaking water valve under the sink. The woman, Maggie Lupone, asks Mulder to turn the valve because he must be stronger than her. As Mulder gets down and starts turning, Maggie's son Richie shows up, announcing that Mulder is turning it wrong. Maggie agrees and sends Richie back to bed. Mulder turns it the other way, but the valve comes loose, spraying a jet of water into the kitchen, making a bad situation worse and soaking Mulder. While Mulder stands embarrassed, a bad situation becomes even worse as he plunges through the floorboards to the apartment below. Scully rushes over with a flashlight, finding Mulder unharmed, and also finding Henry Weems brandishing an eye patch. What do you think of that comic turn in the kitchen? Because clearly that's a yuck moment.
Yeah. It's, they just had to force our characters together, and they chose a collapsing floor, I guess.
Do you catch a throwback to Monday?
I do a little bit. And did you catch Shia LaBeouf?
What?
The little kid? Shia LaBeouf.
That's a young Shia LaBeouf?
That is a young Shia LaBeouf.
Wow. Has his career ever come a long, long way since that episode?
Kind of. He's a little bit of a nutbag. But
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Well, Henry, Mulder, and Scully return to Henry's apartment, Henry toting a tool bag and admonishing Mulder for taking on a plumbing job. Mulder, toweling off, offers Henry his eye back. Henry pops it back into his head. Henry reveals he's been avoiding the FBI as he does not want to testify against Joe Catrona. Doesn't want to enter witness protection either. But Mulder wants to know how Henry survived the fall. Henry just says he got lucky, but does complain about the bruise he got in his elbow, and he didn't get to keep his poker winnings either. Mulder notices a nearby contraption, a series of objects put together seemingly at random, a Rube Goldberg machine. And this, Mike, this concept of the Rube Goldberg machine is very central to the episode, and clearly what they wanted to do in the episode. They found this moment of these machines and how they come together, cause and effect, and worked backwards from this.
Absolutely.
Henry calls it a hobby, and Mulder's fascinated, pulling the lever that starts it. It releases a ball, which rolls down a spiral, which drops something, which rolls a spool of duct tape, which flips something, eventually releasing a lot of little balls, which open a trapdoor that causes a little wooden man on a scaffold to be hanged. In other words, a great way to fill time on an episode which needed 4 minutes of time to be made up because of the way it was edited. Mulder identifies the machine. Yeah. It's true, though.
I suppose.
Mulder identifies the machine as a manifestation of cause and effect, but this pleasant exchange doesn't change Henry's mind about testifying, despite the fact that Catrona has tried to kill him and will likely try again. Henry says he'll take his chances, if you know what I mean, and the agents leave. At the elevator,
ever have to do one of those?
Make a Rube Goldberg machine?
Yeah.
I never have. Have you?
Really? I did. It was like I think it was our final final, quote unquote, the final project, I think, for 8th grade science. We had to do a Rube Goldberg project. You had to go into like groups of 2 or 3 and come up with this design and kind of do it in front of everyone for the final demonstration or your grade or whatever.
Well, Mike,
it was a fun time. I don't know specifics, but all I know is I saved the day.
Oh, how?
Because my partners gave up, and we were trying to figure out why the last part wasn't working. So I just kind of rigged it up a little bit so that the marble or whatever we were using popped into the hole with like a little piece of cardboard. I just had it go down the thing, and then it just kind of swooped over. Worked. Everything went well. I don't know why it was so hard for them to, figure that out, but it was a good time.
Well, that's teamwork for you right there.
Teamwork.
Amazing. And how long would you say it took for your marble to go start to finish?
I would say it was a shorter one. It was maybe 20 seconds at the most.
Okay. Well,
I think the premise was to make one that had different kind of levers and things like that. So you had to utilize at least 3 or 4 different interactions, kind of like the spiral, the duct tape and all that. And this, you had to do so many intersections kind of thing. So,
okay.
That's cool.
You didn't have like a gun shooting, a bullet that
I did. I was detained for a while, but since I was underage, they didn't try me as an adult, but my teacher died. It was
the bullet went straight through his heart. Terrible.
Yeah, straight through the heart.
At the elevators, Scully lays out their plans. The case is over, and they should head home. There is no X-File here. Mulder, of course, wants to stay on. Don't you want to know why the guy survived? Well, they wait for the elevator to arrive, but it doesn't, so they take the stairs. But of course, as soon as they enter the stairwell, the elevator arrives, producing one of Catrona's goons who marches towards Henry's apartment. Outside, Mulder realizes he doesn't have his car keys. He must have lost them when he fell. The goon kicks in Henry's door, leveling his gun at Henry, and at the same moment, Mulder presses the buzzer to Henry's apartment, distracting the goon, who turns and fires, hitting a lamp, which falls over, pulling the ironing board over. Henry dives behind the couch, pulling it over, and somehow the goon flies into the air. Meanwhile, the agents rush through the apartment hallway, guns drawn, arriving at Henry's apartment, and they see the goon hanging from the ceiling fan, spinning idly. Cut to commercial. So here we are, a real-life Rube Goldberg machine, apparently.
The Rube Goldberg crime. Yep.
You see what they did there?
I did.
Well, later, the apartment is a crime scene.
Our dead man's name is Angelo Bellini, a.k.a. Angie the Animal. He's an enforcer for the Catrona family. and I don't think his visit was friendly.
You think that Weems could have killed him in self-defense?
A skinny guy with no depth perception against a man nicknamed the Animal? I don't think so. You and I both know Weems didn't kill anybody. Besides, we were just gone for 2 minutes. This guy doesn't have a scratch on him. I'm thinking it was a heart attack.
What the hell happened here, Mulder?
Cause and effect.
Meaning?
Okay, so, watch. So Bellini kicks down the door. Waka! Poised to kill Weems, right? But just as he's about to pull the trigger, a noise startles him. The buzzer, when I buzzed, to be let back in the apartment. So when he does pull the trigger, his aim is off, right? And he hits the lamp, which falls over and knocks over the ironing board. So as the bullet ricochets, Weems dives over the sofa. Now when Bellini goes for him, he trips over the ironing board, bounces off the chair, flips end over end, and his shoelace gets caught in the fan, QED. Cause and effect. Seemingly unrelated and unconnected events and occurrences that appear unrelated and random beforehand, but which seem to chain react.
So look at that. So we got a little superpower analysis going on there from Mulder.
That is quite the superpower. It's that prediction there. I also want to point out that I think you and I have adopted the same strategy here, where it's so much easier to let Mulder or Scully do the talking that we don't write the really complicated scripts.
It's just better to go back to the source sometimes.
It's just better to let them say it. So yes, that is nice.
Whenever I'm phoning it in, I'll just run 42 minutes of episode and be like,
42.
Man, stuff happened. Here it is. Well, Mulder thinks that Henry seems to have tapped into his own amazing streak of luck. That's his superpower. Scully sees Richie, Henry's neighbor kid, wandering around. Scully sends him back to bed and proceeds to ask him some questions. Scully sees that Richie looks pretty sick, with a nearby IV pumping him full of drugs. Scully's also taken by another one of Henry's Rube Goldberg machines. Richie explains that Henry says everything happens for a reason. Richie doesn't know where Henry might be, but he also notes that since Richie got sick, Henry hardly ever goes out. The agents reconnect, wondering why the world's luckiest man doesn't just go out and buy a lottery ticket. And as they pass by a wall air vent, we see that Henry is in fact hiding behind it, and he overhears the lottery idea. After the agents have left, Henry visits Richie, where we see that Henry's a nice guy. Henry's going somewhere, something he's got to do that he's been putting off. Outside, Scully finishes up her phone call where she's learned everything there is to learn about Henry Weems. He has no criminal record, no history, not even a video rental card. And I ask you, Mike, in the year 2000, did you have a Blockbuster membership?
I had a video outlet membership.
It wasn't Blockbuster?
Which is a much smaller Blockbuster. It was more local, I think. But
what was the name of your video chain?
Video Outlet.
It was literally called Video Outlet?
I'm not shitting you. That's what it's called. Video Outlet. Couple locally. I don't know how big they were at any point. I know there was one in Roscoe where I lived, a couple in Rockford. So there were at least a few. Eventually Blockbuster, because that went out of business, and they put everyone out of business until Netflix.
Sure,
but
I have to wonder who at the FBI is assembling the dossier on Henry Weems that they actually went to the detail of finding out whether he's got a video rent. Like, how do you find that in 2000? Do you call up all the Chicago video rental places?
Does this man rent movies?
Do you have a customer named Henry Weems? Tell me about the movies you rent. It's not.
How did he watch Castaway?
This isn't an invasion of privacy at all. Just tell me. Well, Mulder's dug up his own history of Henry. Henry was the lone survivor on a plane crash in 1989, in which he lost his eye. Before the accident, he held down a job at a train yard, but after the crash, he left all his friends and moved to Melrose Park on his own. Mulder doesn't know why Henry's decided to emerge after all this time, but Mike, I think we know. Don't we know?
We do know. We know. He's a sweetheart.
He's a greedy son of a bitch, and he wants some money.
He decided he wanted to use his gift for evil and retire on a Hawaiian island.
If you think about it, You know what? I'll get to it later when we talk about the karmic nature of Henry's gift. In fact, it's about to happen. So let's just dive right now. We're going to cut to a convenience store where Henry walks in from the street. Henry asks Maurice, the store owner, what the lottery is up to. $28 million. But Henry says he doesn't need that much. It's just 100,000 would do. So Maurice gets him a scratch lottery card, and Henry joins another lottery seeker, a goth with spiky orange hair and eyeliner, in scratching away. Henry uses a Leatherman tool to scratch off the squares, which, when a TV reports and outs him as the survivor of a mysterious gangland shooting. Suddenly, his lottery mate announces that Henry has just won the $100,000. So Henry asks how he can collect. Maurice reveals that they send it to Henry in 12 increments of $8,200, which math does not check out. It's $98,400. But Henry laments that won't work. He needs it all at once. So he just throws the ticket in the garbage. Sidebar, Your Honor. Not correct.
I find fault with this.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead. No, I'm listening. You're good.
Apparently, it's the law. The prize in scratch tickets, prize has to be delivered in a lump sum. There is no, we'll pay you $100 a year for the rest of your life. No, they got to have a lump value.
No, I'm pretty sure it's an option. I think they have to be able to pay you a lump sum.
I think you can have lotteries where you can accept $1,000 a year for the rest of your life, or you can buy out for $10,000. Obviously,
right?
You do that. But for this, pretty sure they're not going to just say, "Yeah, we'll do it at $8,200 a month." It's gonna not that we can give you the $100,000.
Yeah, they should have the option at least. I'm almost positive in the Wisconsin or Midwestern lottery, it's one or the other. You can take the huge buyout, which obviously taxes are awful, or you can accept a monthly or weekly type deal.
Speaking of, apparently the background notes on this say that the cash cow scratch lottery ticket would not have been available in Illinois at the time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's a Wisconsin lottery, so I'm thinking it's more your neck of the woods.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a cow. So
you get it, don't you?
You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a cow in this neighborhood.
Well, the episode's clearly trash. Speaking of trash,
I was thinking that cow looked like the cows from South Park. I don't know if that's just me, but that's what it looks like.
This predates South Park by 15 years.
No, it doesn't.
South Park
started in 1996.
What?
90s or 97. It was 96. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Really?
Andrew.
I had no idea it was so long running. My goodness.
Yeah. It's in its 28th year, I think.
My goodness. Almost as long as The Simpsons. That's crazy.
Right.
Well, the goth immediately dives into the trash can, going for the discarded ticket. Maurice claims that anything in the trash is the property of the store. And another sidebar, it doesn't matter. It's illegal for a purveyor of lottery tickets to claim a ticket sold at their own establishment. So, Maurice, you're out of luck. Even though later on he's going to say that the guy gave it to him. So,
I mean,
I don't think it's going to fly.
Who can prove?
It's true. Although I bet you that you can run the serial number. I am willing to bet that when Maurice goes to try and claim that, they're going to uncover that the ticket was sold at his store, and they're going to be like, no. We'll take this back. Thank you.
No, I would quit immediately. I'd be like, purge all my records. I never worked here. I'm taking this to the lottery.
Well, the goth takes the ticket and brags heavily about his win. Henry cautions him to just throw it away. Something bad is going to happen to him if he takes it. Of course, the goth doesn't listen because he's a goth and apparently a bit of a douchebag. Dancing outside, rules. Continuing to brag about his fortune. And of course, he's immediately struck by a delivery van because he is standing in the goddamn road. I mean...
Right. I was just going to say, who is that dumb?
Yeah.
You have to give this episode a little bit of leeway in terms of the power, quote unquote, the power. So we're led to believe that he just had such an absence of rational thinking that he thought running into a city street would be a good idea.
I don't think
and then to turn around and gloat.
Yeah, but I don't think it's luck in this case. I mean, I think
stupidity, exactly.
he should have had something bad happen to him, but I don't think,
it should have been more
by a car in the middle of a road. I think that's just a matter of time.
I think it should have been more environmental. Like this one was, it's fine. I'm not losing sleep over it, but I think this one is requiring the guy who's taking the lottery ticket to be so stupid. And I know we have no reason to think he's stupid or smart, I guess, but it's just like, okay, is Henry's luck altering this guy's personality? Because
I know why they did it. I think what needed to happen, I think the save for this is the guy gets hit by the delivery van, but it's on the sidewalk. Like he's doing his thing, and the thing just swerves off the road for whatever reason and slams into him on the sidewalk. That
you don't
would
need
truly
an
be
explanation.
Unlucky. Yeah. But of course, we're going to find that delivery van is important. Keep in mind that it has the 4-leaf clover on the dash. That's all you need to know about that. Yeah.
It's that time, everyone. The Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Magus Media Productions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X, our Patreon, patreon.com/MagusMedia, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support.
Outside, Scully interrogates Maurice, confirming that Henry bought the ticket, ran away after the accident, and that the goth tearfully gave the ticket to Maurice. You should have this. Totally, you should have this. Scully, with a glint in her eye, lets Maurice go and confabs with Mulder. The two of them piece together that Henry must have overheard them talking about the lottery, and so they head back to the apartment building, searching the vents. They don't find him in there, of course, or in his apartment, so they start to search the rest of the building. Just as Gutrona's other goon arrives, also looking for Henry. Meanwhile, Henry hides in an unused apartment, carving away on a piece of wood. Suddenly, he hears the door handle turning and hides. Mulder enters, looking around. Mulder sees another vent and lunges for it, dragging Henry out into the apartment. And here, Mike, I got to ask you about the nature of Henry's powers. I feel like there's a little bit of power creep syndrome going on here, because there's one thing to influence the luck that surrounds you, but what Henry's doing here is some level of invisibility, or you don't see me power, and somehow able to just vault into that vent and close it behind him with like seconds. So I'm lost a little bit with this power. The episode's losing me a little bit. I do like it a lot, but when this starts happening, his ability to just avoid, I'm less cool with it somehow. Your thoughts, please.
No, I get that. I think the rapidity of which he's able to do this is very suspect. We talked about it being a cartoon earlier, where it almost verges on that here. You know, the first death was cartoonish. That's funny. It's a ridiculous way for someone to die.
Yeah.
This also, the speed with which it's, and they give reference to it, right? Mulder says Wile E. Coyote, or maybe it's Scully, but I don't know. Maybe they're going for that in some weird way. I never really thought of it like that until now, but I think it's par for the course for this episode. And
don't look too closely, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't look any further. Oh, wait, that's another episode. Okay.
Oh.
Yes. That song has been running through my head today.
I wonder why.
So Henry has been dragged into the apartment. Mulder plants him in a chair, pulling out his phone to call Scully. In the hallway, Catrona's goon walks up, gun drawn, and Henry gives out an, "Oh, not again." Well, the guy lunges into the room, holding Henry and Mulder at gunpoint, and then he shoots Henry. But the bullet ricochets off the Leatherman in Henry's pocket, glances off Mulder's arm, then ricochets off a radiator, ricochets off a light fixture, before impacting back into the gunman, dropping him. Scully, hearing the shot, arrives a moment later, gun drawn. Henry produces the dented Leatherman as we fade to commercial. So another Rube Goldberg experience?
And Mulder's a part of it.
Yes, he's part of the machine.
Well, here's my question.
Yeah.
In a situation like this, taking into account that Mulder is a main character of this show, does the luck...
What?
Well, I was saying, given that Mulder's a main character of the show, can we just not assume that he's not going to die? Why did the bullet have to go across the room and kill the killer? Obviously because it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But are we to draw any implication as to the luck having like a positive negative with the two people engaged in it? Or is the room of equal luck counter to what Weems has? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, is
sure
the gunman...
I mean, I think what you might be getting is Mulder being wounded because he's in the vicinity of Weems' power? He's kind of acting against him?
Why was Mulder not killed?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't the bullet ricochet into Mulder? Or is the luck of the gunman complete polar opposite of what Weems has, so therefore he must die in order for Weems to live? Does that make sense?
Well, Mulder lives because he's got plot armor.
Right. I'm saying let's just pretend like what... I'm wondering if like that's a consideration that the writers had at all. Well, I mean, obviously they're not going to kill Mulder, but I mean, are we to infer that, you know, if someone's trying to kill Weems, then they, for that moment in that vicinity, will have the complete opposite luck, life and death.
Yeah.
Being that. Well, maybe I'm just thinking too hard about it right now. But.
No, it's a very interesting question. And this whole concept of when Weems gets lucky, somebody else gets unlucky, or that Weems' luck has a physicality to it that, and the lottery ticket is the example I have here. Like if he has something lucky happen to him, something unlucky is going to happen to somebody else, and it can be manifested in an object that Weems possessed. Like, I don't think that Weems should be giving away Rube Goldberg presents to people, because I feel like that's a ticking time bomb.
Right.
But yet they don't really go that way. So I hadn't really looked into it too deeply, but that might be a bit of an inconsistency, or at least I don't think that the writers delved too deeply, other than it would be cool if Mulder got caught up in the crossfire. But because he's not an antagonist to Weems, he can't be killed by this experience.
Right. Okay. It was just a thought I had. I was like, is it tied to the bad guy and the good guy, or is it just kind of neutral in the surrounding area of Weems?
Yeah. No, it's worth noting. I mean, it's probably not absolute, too. Like, the probability is so high that something bad is going to happen, but it maybe is not so, like, diametrically opposed. If you try and kill me, then you're going to die, kind of thing. Because in fact, the gunman doesn't get killed. He's
that's true.
Where we're going to cut to St. Patricia's Hospital. The gunman's being treated, and Mulder is being patched up. Mulder wants to try something with Henry, producing a deck of cards. So here is where we're going to tease out the nature of Henry's power. Mulder shuffles the deck, cuts it, shows the 9 of clubs. Henry draws next, and it's the 10 of clubs. Henry wins. Mulder shuffles again, king of diamonds, but when Henry draws, it's the ace. Scully doesn't know what this proves, but Mulder decides that Henry will always win, that Henry is the luckiest man in the universe. And the question is, how does it feel?
It's a nightmare. You have no idea.
No, I do. Because when you get lucky, really, really lucky, people around you tend to suffer. Is that right?
I think it's a balance thing. Something good happens to me, and everybody else has to take it in the keister.
So you've stayed close to home, mostly kept a low profile, but recently you've been venturing out a little further. You played poker with those mobsters.
I figured they could stand the trimming. Bunch of goombad jerks. They got issues, man.
You don't mind so much if a few criminals get hurt, but then when you play the lottery, I
knew I shouldn't have done that. I needed the money.
For what?
For Richie, right?
It's the complications from his hepatitis. He's on every donor list they got, but he's got a rare blood type, B negative. And he's CN something.
CMV negative, cytomegalovirus.
There's no way they're gonna find a donor in time. There's a treatment program in England. 100 grand gets him in. It's experimental, but it's the best chance he's got now. Am I under arrest?
No.
However, you will need protection from Catrona and his men.
I'd say they need protection from me.
Whoa.
Weems, look at that.
He gets his own exit music for that one.
Yeah.
I need something for that.
He does.
Mr. Badass.
John Cena. Mama.
As the resident Italian, Andrew, I will take offense at the word Goomba. Jesus.
But they do dive heavily into Goodfellas territory with those characters, though. It's so
absolutely. Yeah.
Scully chastises Mulder. He's feeding Henry's delusions, and Henry is still in danger. Their conversation continues as we see Henry emerge from the hospital. Catrona and his bodyguard pull up, and the two see Henry walk down the street. Joe gives a meaningful nod, and Catrona's brute Dominic walks over, switchblade in hand. Mulder and Scully rush over, and Mulder cries out to warn Henry. Henry sees Dominic and walks out into traffic. He's immediately smacked by a delivery van. Yes, the same delivery van that smacked the Gotham the convenience store. It literally has a 4-leaf clover on the dash. The episode at this point is painting it pretty thick. Dominic runs off, and Mulder checks Henry's pulse, looking grim. Henry's eye has popped out of his head again. Oh, no, but he's not dead. He's not dead, Mike. Everything is okay.
That's good.
I know you were worried there. You had that look on your face.
I was afraid.
Yep.
I was afraid. I mean, just the way the episode's going.
Yep. It's bad
There's
for
no
everybody,
stakes.
though. Little Ricky is, not Ricky. Meanwhile, sick little Richard is not in bed again. He's playing with the Rube Goldberg machine Henry made for him. Maggie escorts Richie back into bed and is confronted with a new reality. Richie's skin and eyes have turned yellow. His liver is failing.
That's not real.
You don't think so? You don't think that's how people look with
No. Jaundice is real. I believe that. But
yes.
That was color correction.
I think this is just heavy makeup and color contacts going on there.
I'll have to see it again, but I'm pretty sure it looked fake. I don't know.
I didn't watch it this time.
Okay, maybe it is makeup. All right.
Totally makeup.
Well, his eyes are definitely not makeup.
But yeah, he's
Whatever.
got full eye contacts, though. That's how they do that. It's gross.
Possible. It's gross.
Back
Grody.
in the hospital, Henry's in the ICU with a few cuts and bruises. He's survived the crash. Henry's agreed to testify against Catrona. Cutting to Joe mid-coffee, learning that Henry has survived the crash, and further that their guy in the Justice Department has confirmed that Henry will be testifying against him. Henry is surrounded by cops at the hospital. They can't get to him, says Dominic. But Catrona has an even more devious plan. He doesn't have to get to Henry. Cutting back to Maggie and Richie, we see the intended target as Richie is bundled up into an ambulance to get to the hospital, leaving Maggie on her own. Taking the Rube Goldberg machine, she packs up some of Richie's things as Dominic sneaks into the apartment, and we fade to commercial. Oh, no. Pretty good plan, though, as far as plans go.
Yeah, not bad.
Back in the hospital, it's not looking good for Richie, who's hooked up to a ventilator. Henry's looking over Richie as Mulder and Scully enter. They can't find Maggie, who's disappeared. Henry's convinced it was Catrona who took her to prevent him from testifying. There's no ransom note, so there's no basis for a search warrant. Henry is beside himself. He charges off, tearing his jacket in the process. It looks like Henry's luck is changing for the worse. So Mulder and Scully are left on their own with Richie, who's not doing well. He's only got a few hours to get a donor liver. So there will be no flights to England to begin an experimental trial. This leads us to the scene, which might be problematic from the plot, but I'll let you chime in. Mulder decides to let fate intervene, given that it's been such a factor in their investigation so far. He pulls out a phone book and selects a page at random, dropping his finger onto a random space. The first is the Muya Mean Daycare, nurturing the children of Islam since 1983. He decides to call that a dry run and try again, this time placing his finger on Grayson's linen service, the same linen service that saved Henry's life in the cold open. Now we get what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Luck.
They're trying to play with
surrounding
luck.
Henry and surrounding Henry's things, luck is going to be a factor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of okay with it. That this is what the episode has built for us, as the underpinning of how the episode works. So Mulder leading into it, it's a pretty smart twist.
I like the fact that they're giving us something, even if he's not in the room, something's being affected. What are the chances that would happen? So it's another explanation, another example for us to kind of get on board with the plot if you weren't already.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, it's really affecting the world.
I just wish they would do some FBI things from some time. Like, hey, we got a sighting of Dominic bringing Maggie back to the building. It'd be a little easier to get them all where we need to be. Or we just saw Henry pull up outside of Cutrona's building. Some options at play here. But no, we have this scene. Okay. So we're going to cut back to Henry having arrived at Cutrona's premises. Dominic brings him over as Henry assures Joe he's not going to testify so long as Joe lets Maggie go. But Joe doesn't admit to having Maggie. He doesn't take the opportunity to show how nice a guy he is. And despite Henry saying he doesn't care what happens to him, oh, Henry will care, says Joe.
You'll care.
When I'm done with you, you'll care. So that is the point which we know Joe is not going to make it through this episode, I think.
Right, yeah.
The trio head downstairs.
Threaten a nice guy.
What's that?
I said you can't threaten a nice guy.
No, exactly. The trio head downstairs for the obligatory torture scene where Maggie is confined in a chain link cell. Henry knocks over a clothes iron into a bucket of water, I guess purely by happenstance and accident, while he's manhandled into position. They string him up on a power hoist as Maggie screams at them to leave him alone, you sons of bitches. The iron shorts out in the water as we begin another incredulous Rube Goldberg sequence. A shock goes up the cord, into the light, and into the chain link fence just as Dominic is unlocking it. Electrocuted, he falls to the floor, and the hook from which Henry is suspended swings away, causing the larger hook to swing. Cutrona looks up just in time to see the large hook crash into his face. Across the city, the lights flicker on buildings as Richie's hospital room and lights short out, causing a nearby sign to read Richie. This makes Scully get a little fluttery. He's like, oh my goodness, how amazing. In the basement of Cutrona's place, Mulder and the cops arrive just in time to rescue Henry and Maggie. The camera lingers over the body of Joe Cutrona, whose medic alert bracelet proclaims him to be the perfect blood type for Richie. We end with a cut back to the hospital, where Richie is in recovery after a successful liver transplant. Mulder, Scully, and Henry are together as Mulder and Scully wonder about the odds that Cutrona would be the compatible donor. 1,000,000 to 1? Maybe Henry's luck is changing. And as Henry goes in to visit with the recovering Richie, they give the rogue Goldberg a tug, and it runs through its cues to send a tiny basketball into a hoop to Mark Snow's optimistic piano keys. And that is the episode. Mike, take it away.
I like it. I think it's a fun episode. As we've stated before, the lighthearted nature of it makes it very accessible to people. As goofy as the deaths are, it's fine. I'm really okay with that kind of stuff. The premise is simple enough for everyone to understand. I think I just get not lost, but I get in my head and I don't try to about what the power really looks like on a physical scale. I want to know how it interacts with things. I think that's just me being inquisitive. It just doesn't really hurt the episode. I think it's pretty straightforward. I know you had an issue with a couple parts, but I think for the most part, this stays on track. And it's good to see the Italians represented, even though they're monsters.
That's the most important part of the show, is the Chicago Italians.
It is. It is. This episode came at a time where the mafia was the butt of a lot of jokes. I think, you had Mafia the movie.
True.
You had Whole 9 Yards. You had this episode. I mean, the list goes on. So
there's a lot of piling
and it's right at the beginning. I think Sopranos started either this year or the next year. So we Italians, we were getting a lot of love.
But those were New York Italians in Sopranos. That was
right,
Chicago Italian.
They were not Chicago.
I gotta say, I didn't hear a lot of Chicago accent.
Well, there's really not a Chicago way. People are.
There surely is, sir.
No, I've lived an hour away from Chicago my whole life.
I hear it. I don't know what happens between Wisconsin and Illinois, but there's a warp in accents.
Warp. Well, the more north you get, you get a lot of soda and A.
Yeah, I wonder where the A comes from.
Minnesota's right. They're copying Canada. But yeah, you get into a little bit of northern Wisconsin that you definitely get that a lot more. The yeah, no, but that's a common phrase. Yeah. I just don't hear a Chicago accent. What I hear is the right way to talk. And then you go east, you get a lot of fancy, flashy talk. You go south, you get the southern drawl.
Yeah, those city people.
Yep, man. I mean, they should really just take a lesson.
I think the star of the show here is Willie Garson, though. I mean, he really does sell Henry Weems. The other actors are fine, too. And the script's fine, directing's fine. I mean, I'm going to give it a solid B. Like, the problem with this episode is that it's so nicely tied up that you don't really retain anything from it.
That is another point.
Yes. I think
I'll say something when you're done.
It sits on a shelf with other episodes that we have remarked on, like Drive. What's his name? Trevor sort of is there too. I mean, all good episodes, all well done pieces, but yet they just have no value beyond them. They're too self-contained. They don't leave you wondering because everything's tied up.
Right, and I would say this I think I viewed it as a less extreme version. I wouldn't put it on the same level as Drive in terms of do I like it. I do like this episode, but I forget about it. I don't come to it when I think of the X-Files. Like, it lets the big episodes stand in front of it while still being good. It just kind of fades into the wallpaper. So,
do you think maybe it being a comedy is a factor in that, though? Because, I mean, the other ones that do stand out are more dramatic.
I think it has something to do with it. There's a difference between comedy and clever, like really, really intelligent comedy, where I think like a Humbug or Clyde Bruckman, that's very heady, very weighty stuff, but it's still funny because the way it's written is very dry. This is very in-your-face comedy, and it's not bad because of that. It's just it's middle of the road, like Rain King. Funny, interesting. I enjoy the episode, but when you talk about the X-Files, you don't go, "Oh, hey, the Rain King."
Do you remember the Rain King?
"Oh yeah, there was an episode where a guy controlled the weather." I kind of remember that. And it's not that the episodes are bad. It's just, they're middle of the road.
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment. It's a bit of a shame that they didn't delve deeper into creative uses of the power. I think they were hamstrung by the character that they designed for Henry. I guess Willie Garson. He's not a smart guy. He and in fact he knows that there is a price to using his power, so he doesn't. He's seen the bad effects of it. If you think about it, he could have saved himself from the mobsters by just organizing things that threw his bad luck onto them, but didn't.
Yeah. I think I'm happy that they did the lottery ticket thing because it gives him not just a personality, but a heart where it's like, I know that something terrible is going to happen if I take the easy way out. So that in itself makes the episode a little bit more interesting because everyone's asking the question at the beginning of the episode, why don't you just go get a lottery ticket?
Yep.
It doesn't take anyone long to get there, even before the agents say it. And I'm glad they went there because it shows that he's noticed the things around him when luck turns his way. So he doesn't risk because I believe he doesn't want anyone to die. He's not a murderer. He's not
absolutely
willy-nilly with his power. So when he's desperate enough, he tries the ticket and someone almost dies. So I think, by the end of the episode, he's, well, you know what? They're mobsters. They're bad people. And now they've kidnapped an innocent woman to the detriment of her child. I think he's like, you know what? I have to do something. So I do like the fact that he was hesitant and that it gives this power actual weight to it.
I guess if I'm being more forgiving to the episode, actually, he does exactly what I say. Like he did use his luck to rescue Maggie because he knew putting himself into the clutches of the mobsters, they're going to pay for it, because they're trying to hurt him. And he's had that experience so many times before. When somebody tries to hurt him, he ultimately prevails because he's just so lucky. Yeah. Well, it's a good episode. I mean, it's a shame that they didn't seem to make more of it or more cleverness or something's missing that didn't have it stand the test of time to make a lasting impression on either of us. But
I would have liked, as we do sometimes, I would have liked to see a serious Goldberg Variation episode. How would you approach that? How would they have approached all those things? What kind of deaths or interactions would they come up with that aren't funny, but they're, that's interesting, or
maybe
something
on
a
the
little
new
bit different.
series they'll do a sequel when Weems comes back as a sadistic serial killer
and Richie comes back.
Shia LaBeouf. It makes a cameo
in between
as
drugs
Richie.
and freaking out.
He's got the ultimate Rube Goldberg machine that he puts Mulder and Scully into, and they have to survive the things swooping and swinging past them. Tune in Sunday.
Sunday.
Well, that'd be a hell of a show, but it's not the show we saw. So I think we're good. We're getting out of here under an hour.
I think we're good.
Yeah, nice.
Good time.
Well, I think everybody will thank us for that. Mike, please give us the final word.
People, keep in mind your surroundings. And if you are having a lot of good luck, make sure you protect those around you because something's going to happen. Something terrible. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilepod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.